Today, I invited a friend of mine, former basketball player for the Sacramento Kings, a man of God that walks with God, lives with God. Ladies and gentlemen out there in our community, welcome to Harold Pressley.
I love it. And I love your introduction.
Thank you, Harold. I've known you now for, I don't know how many years, going on 7 years, I think, or more, 9 years.
It's more, yes.
Yeah, 9 years. And every time I see you, you bring words of wisdom to my life. You just walk with God all the time. And I tell people, and I like to give testimony about what it means to have people like you around me, because it inspires me every day, man. So, but tell people a little bit about where you came from, your accomplishments, because I know that you won a national championship with Villanova.
Yes. Yes.
And so tell me a little bit about it.
Okay, so as we were talking earlier, I grew up in Mystic, Connecticut. You'll know that from the movie Mystic Pizza with Julia Roberts. That was where I actually grew up. And mom and dad split up at an early age, but a man by the name of Russell Means stepped in. He was finishing up his Navy career, and him and my mom hit it off, and they married immediately, had a child, which is my 13 years younger than me, youngest brother. And from there, I actually started playing basketball and really taking it serious in the 7th grade. But the coach would not allow a 7th grader, because we were in a school that had 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Okay.
So only 8th and 9th players could play. So I had to play in a rec league at 6'4" in junior high school.
Uh-huh.
But the next year, 8th grade, I could see some improvement, and I really started enjoying basketball. And then someone approached me with going to a private school. And I'm like, whatever, I'm not going to do this. But the difference was you could play as a freshman in high school, or you could play as a 9th grader in junior high. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to miss a year. So I jumped. I met the coach over at St. Bernard's High School in Uncasville, Connecticut. Yes, Uncasville, Connecticut. Sounds weird, but it's a beautiful little town. And that guy, when you ask who helped me, that guy was so incredible. The thing he said to my mom was, if you put him in my hands, I don't know if he'll make it to the NBA, but I'm guarantee you he's going to be a Division I basketball player. You won't have to worry about paying for his scholarship. And my mom was like, well, all right, all right. But he says, this is what I want from you, Mr. Means and Margaret, my mom. He says, I want you out of the basketball picture altogether. Come and cheer him on, but don't talk to him about basketball. Let him just grow in this. And my father, well, I don't know anything. He was a band guy. He was a drummer. Mm-hmm. He grew up with Fats Domino, so he was more into music. I don't know anything about basketball. That's going to be easy. Mom's like, I don't know anything about basketball either. He's all yours. And this guy, the first thing he says to me as a freshman, before basketball season started, he says, I want you to do 3 things. You work your tail off in the classroom, get the best grades you can. You work your tail off on the basketball court. Whenever you get out there, you're first in everything. And stay away from drugs, alcohol, and women. He says, do those 3 things I want you to do. No drugs, no women, no drugs, no women, no alcohol. Work your tail off with your books, with school, and on the basketball court. You do that, you're going to be successful. And he mentored me all the way through, and he walked me through getting to Villanova. Now, we had 250 schools to choose from, and I didn't have to talk to I only talk to one school. Everybody else talks to everybody. But he says, you don't have to worry about this. I'm going to narrow it down for you. We're going to get it down to 10 schools, and then you're going to make a decision from those 10 schools. So he eliminated all the corrupt schools that were trying to pay you and try to do all this stuff to corrupt you. And he got rid of all of those, and we came up with a beautiful list. He wanted me to go to North Carolina. And so I was a senior at the time, and North Carolina came to my home. Dean Smith and his whole staff came in, and they said, hey, listen, the season hasn't started. This is September. The season hasn't started, but we have a freshman there that we're thinking that's going to be pretty darn good. If he's not what we think, we'll be back in March to sign you. Do you think you can wait? I said, you know what? I'm going to wait. I won't make a decision until March. And then March Madness came around, and North Carolina won the national championship that year.
Who was a freshman?
The freshman was Michael Jordan. And I get a call right after the game from Dean Smith. Hey, Harold, you think you know who that freshman is? I said, you got a good one. I think I know where I'm going. And after that, I chose Villanova.
Okay.
Yes. So I left a great mentor. Rich Payuka was my high school coach. He was also my guidance counselor. So you can't get away with anything because he knows all your grades. He knows everything.
Up, yeah.
And I was sent. I met Rolly Massimino. So he came into my home, and he had me from the first day. So his pitch was, I don't know if you're going to be an NBA player, but I know you're going to graduate, and you will get a college diploma. He said, but more than that, this relationship between you and I is not a 4-year relationship. It's going to be 40 years, or at least until I die. That was his words to me. And I heard that's the only time he ever said that.
Very important question for me, because we, in our life, we always have a special moment where God really, really like shows up and lets you know I'm here.
Yes.
Whatever you go through, I'm always going to be here.
Yes.
When was it that you started feeling that presence of God in your life?
So I was I came back from playing ball in Spain, and I messed up my knee pretty bad, so I wasn't going to play again. Massimino called me in 95 and said, why don't you come coach with me at Cleveland State University? So I did. I said, Coach, I'm going to stay until I get you to a point where you are not losing. I said, as long as I get you there, I'm good. And so in 1998, I came home for Labor Day. It was Labor Day. And I know the date because, well, what happened was my friend Bill was sent over to celebrate Labor Day with us. So I went to my brother-in-law's house, and my friend gave a word. And it was so powerful that I knew that it was time. We had to go back to my mother-in-law's, my in-law's house. And when we showed up there, Bill and the family was there, and God told him, share again, a different word. So he starts sharing, and my wife is right across from me, and she's just bawling. And I'm like, whoa, what is going on? So I say to him, you got to drive me to the airport, because I had to take a red eye to get back to Cleveland. And I said, just take me to the airport. And on the drive to the airport, I said, I need salvation. I know it's time. And how do I do it? And he says, okay, when you get on the plane, I want you to say these words. This is going to take you right through it. I got on the plane to go back to Cleveland, red-eye flight, and I'm like, I don't know what he just said. I was completely clueless. What I didn't know was before I walked out the door to get in his car to go to the airport, my wife said to him, I need to see you tomorrow. I need to meet with you tomorrow. So it was September 8th, 1998, that my wife met Bill at the Arden Fair Mall around 10 o'clock in the morning. I woke up, went back to my job, back to coaching, and called him at about 11 o'clock and said, dude, I don't remember what you said. I didn't receive salvation. He says, okay, let's walk through it. And after he walked me through, he said, now you want to know what's funny? Your wife just received salvation just before you called.
Oh, wow.
And so it was very powerful. And by the end of that year, I knew I had to come back to Sacramento. And I came back and I joined his men's Bible study that he just started on Wednesday nights. And so that is 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002, and early 2003, I'm like, you know what? I'm not feeling this. Nothing's going right for me. What is going on? I came back here and I thought you were going to help me. I was looking for what you're going to do for me. So I left the Bible study and I kind of walked away from God.
Okay.
12 years.
You tried.
2015. Now I'm at Hardwood Palace helping run the basketball facility. We're running the restaurant over there, and I hear it's time for you to go back to Bible study. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to Bible study. Now that was at night. The next morning, I see Bill for the first time in like 3 years. He says, it's time for you to get back to Bible study. I said, I'll see you Wednesday. He didn't believe me because I haven't been there in 12 years. And I'm walking up. He said, oh, my God, you are really here. And I finally got to tell him, I heard the voice tell me it's time. And from there, I brought him over to my, we started Thursday night Bible studies at my house, 2015.
Okay. Let's go back to this part. So you ended up being at Villanova.
Yes.
You obviously chose the right school. You went on to win a national championship there.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so arriving at Villanova as a freshman, I was supposed to be the one that's going to provide the championship for that year because all we needed was one player. But I really messed up before getting to Villanova. I met a girl and just screwed up life.
Oh, Lord.
Things just went
Were you
wrong.
not warned before that?
I was by my high school coach, remember?
Okay.
No girls. Well, I graduated and there was a girl.
Yeah, I failed big time. By the way.
and I just screwed up. So my head going into Villanova as a freshman was messed up. And I had probably the worst freshman year of anyone in the country who's ever played at the NCAA level. It was horrible. It was so bad that going to a place like Boston College, they were chanting my name. And I don't mean chant, they were Harold. Every time I caught the ball. You know what that does to a person when you catch the ball and the opposing people are just, Harold. I was shaking. And it just turned into a situation. I couldn't make a shot. My head was so gone that the summer before that I'm dropping threes falling out of bounds, but I can't put the ball in the basket. And it just messed me up. So I find my way through. We lost to Houston. Fly Slamma Jamma was the year. It was Akeem Olajuwon and Michael Young and Clyde Drexler.
Yeah, hardly anybody.
So we lost to them, and then I had to get back to work. I met with my high school coach after the season's over, and he just gave it to me. He's like, he gave it to me. He's like, what are you doing? You are not playing hard. You're not this. You're not that. And it's time for you to get back on, get the thing right. He just gave it to me. And I was like, you're absolutely right. So I just stopped doing anything.
So you went back to your high school coach.
I went back to my high school coach. We had a meal and
guided you back on track.
He set me back straight. Now, Massimino was awesome, but I needed to hear those words that you look awful. And this is not who you are. This is not how you play. Get it right. Straighten it up. And so I went to the park right where I grew up, and I spent all day, every day there, just get my confidence back. So came back in my sophomore year, and I played pretty well. We made it to the NCAA tournament, but we were so tired from we had to really work to get there because we started off the year at 3-7. So we had to go into the Big East tournament and beat Georgetown, and we just had to win a lot.
You guys didn't have it easy, man.
We won 10 straight games just to get back into the hunt, and we finally got to play in the NCAA tournament, and we were tired. It was just exhausting. So we played 2 games in the tournament that year, and The next year, my junior year, we started off pretty good. But we were playing against the number 1 and number 2 team in the country. We played them 5 times, Georgetown and St. John's. And so we lost all of those games.
Who was with Georgetown at that time?
Georgetown had, I believe they ended up having 7 guys go to the NBA.
Was it Patrick Ewing?
Patrick Ewing was the leader. They had Michael Jackson. They had Reggie Williams and David Wingate. Yeah, they had a cast of NBA guys.
They had a pro club there.
They had a pro club. And St. John's also had a pro club. They had Bill Winnington, and they had Walter Berry, who was unbelievable. They had Chris Mullen.
I was going to say St. John's.
They had a crew. So we lost to Georgetown. Both times we were up in the second half. We should have won, but we found a way to lose. But St. John's, we had no chance. They just destroyed us from start to finish.
So what year?
That was 1985.
Okay, but what year did you win the national championship?
1985.
85.
So as we play in those guys, we make it into the NCAA. They extended it from 48 teams to 64. So we snuck in as the 8th seed. With the 8th seed. And our journey was really tough.
Was Michael Jordan still in North Carolina?
Michael Jordan, that was his first year in the NBA.
Really?
So we had Kenny Smith and the number 1 pick in 1986, Brad Daugherty was on that team. They were big. They had 3 guys 7 feet and taller. And then they had the Jet, Kenny Smith, on the team. So it was a tough game. But in the end, we beat them by 15 to make it into the Final Four.
Jesus, 15 points.
Yeah. But we were down. In that game, we were down about 15 in the first half. Massimino gave one of the greatest speeches ever at halftime. He walked in, he sat down, he says, "You guys think that this is the most important thing in the world. But you know what I would rather have than to play this game right now?" He said, "I would rather have a big bowl of pasta filled with cheese and sauce." He said, "That's what I want more than to win this game." And we're like, what is wrong with him? But it relaxed us so much because prior to that, Villanova always got put out of the NCAA tournament by North Carolina. So we had this thing in our head that it's North Carolina. And we went out there and we just destroyed them in the second half. And so that put us into the Final Four where we played Memphis State. We get to the hotel. 1985, we get to the hotel. They're staying in the same hotel. They check in, and the coach is right in front of me. And the coach says, "Well, we need the games are played on Saturday and Monday." The coach says, "Well, we need a room for tonight and for Monday night because we're going to play in the championship." We're going to beat these guys.
And you're right behind
like,
them.
what? Yes. Yeah. So that pissed us off. So we ended up beating them and playing Georgetown in the finals. And the significance of that is Georgetown was so good that we didn't miss a shot. We missed 1 shot in the second half. We had to play pretty much a perfect game to beat them.
Yeah.
Yes. And we shot 90% in the second half, and we beat them by a whopping 2 points.
Wow.
2 points to win the national championship.
So I'm noticing this pattern. I mean, you were, at some point in your college career, you were at a really, really low point.
Yes.
And then you picked yourself up.
Yes.
Because you're surrounded by I'm going to say godly people that got put around you. Right? High school coach,
yes.
Your university coach was the proper one for you.
Yes.
And so you went from being down and you picked yourself up until you reached the top. Winning a national championship in the NCAA Division I is not just a little thing, man. That's huge.
Biggest thing ever. It gave me such confidence that coming back from my senior year, remember, I had the worst year of any freshman in history. But my senior year was probably the best senior year anyone has ever had at Villanova. I had the first triple-double in the Big East, including with Patrick Ewing being there and Chris Mulling and all the greats that they had there. I was the first triple-double in the Big East. So it took a complete turn.
Yeah,
A complete
obviously.
turn. And you're hitting the nail on the head. Yes, I had people around me. He, our Heavenly Father, kept me guarded. He had me surrounded by people that were going to help. Not only help, they loved. And they didn't just love me, they loved everybody. I just watching Massimino years later. He was coaching at a small NAIA school down in Florida, and I'm down there with him, and he's taking me to the airport, and somebody just, it was a baggage claim guy. He runs up, he says, I've been trying to get my daughter into the school, and nobody talks to me. How can I get it in? He says, you call me on Monday. We'll get her in. And sure enough, she got into the school. And the next time I saw him, he said, your guy, Massimino's the greatest guy in the world. He's so wonderful. He loves people. I was like, that's it right there. He loves people.
People.
Yes,
Yeah.
which will be found on the back of your employee's shirt. Love
my
people.
staff shirt.
There's two things that we're supposed to do. And this covers everything. We are supposed to love God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love our neighbors as ourselves. And if we do that, we fulfill everything. We're doing good. There's no worries. We're going to see him and meet him and be with him for eternity.
Yeah. As far as your career,
yes.
Somebody asked me to ask you this.
Okay.
Who were some of your favorite players that you played against?
Okay, I'm going to start off with the guys that I played with.
Okay.
All right. So the guys that I play with, and I don't think too many people are going to remember because it's been a long time, but I was very close with Ricky Berry, who committed suicide. He killed himself.
Okay.
I had to leave for a week to go back and run a camp with Ed Pickney and Rolly Massimino back in the Poconos.
Okay.
So I begged him to come. I could tell he was in a little bit of depression. He said, come with me, just come. But his mom and his dad, his wife was all here. He said, I just can't do it. And so I got the call, I believe it was a Wednesday, that he had just killed himself. And that hurt me for a while because he was reaching out. He didn't know, as I didn't know, our Lord and Savior at the time. So there was nothing I could tell him about it. But he struggled through that, and that hurt me for a while. That's Ricky Berry.
Don't you think that's something that this nation's been battling a lot?
Well, yes.
With suicide,
we've
been battling that a lot, man.
Yeah, there's a scripture for that, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah,
we might have to do that off.
We might have to go into the word about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's deep in this in America, in the United States of America, but. I'm going to move on because
go ahead.
Ricky, Derek Smith. So Derek came with me to Sacramento the same year. Derek was actually a player with the Clippers and the Kings. He destroyed the Kings so much that they traded for him, but he came injured. Derek was the one guy who pulled me aside and said, nobody's teaching you anything. Now, he couldn't practice. He says, nobody's teaching you anything. So he said, you meet me every day. We're going to work out. And so we ran the stairs, and he showed me some basketball moves, and he really helped that way. He also passed away. So Derek, after his career, after my career, he came to my house, and we talked, and he had a child named Nolan, who ended up playing at Duke and then playing for the Portland Trailblazers.
Okay.
But what he said to me at my house, he says, my son is going to kick your son's tail when they get to the end. Like, what? Your son is 6 years old. My son just got born. What are you talking about? But that next summer, they were called the Washington Bullets at that time. They took a cruise. And he didn't want to get seasick, so he took a lot of patches and all the medicine. So he went, and his heart just raced, and he passed. So that was another guy that I was really close with, Wayman Tisdale.
I remember Wayman Tisdale. He was into music, wasn't he?
Wayman was an outstanding musician.
Yeah.
He actually used to bring his bass on the road, and he was left-handed, but he had a right-handed bass.
Okay.
So he would have to turn it upside down to play. But he went on tour with all the greats. He has a couple of albums out right now that are just beautiful. But yes, I met him, at the McDonald's All-American game. We were roommates.
Okay.
And I remember so clearly his father was a preacher, and his father was preaching that night. But he stopped preaching. He started talking about the NBA and who from our group of 24 was going to make it to the NBA. And that was 2 o'clock in the morning. We got to play the next day. And I'm like, "Am your dad ever going to leave?"
Wayman Tisdale. What
Wayman
a
Tisdale.
good person, man.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Incredible
I met him
smile.
when he was a little bit bigger, in 1995.
Yes.
No, 94, I think it was.
94.
It was in
When
1994.
you say a little bigger, what do you mean?
Well, he was.
He
Hey,
gained a little
Wayman,
weight.
if you're up to hearing me, don't take this personal.
He put a little pounds on. He had a
No.
big butt.
So we had.
He
you
did
were-
have a big butt, and that's how he scored. Now, Wayman, he had many 60-point games in college
Really?
at Oklahoma.
Okay.
60-point game.
Yeah.
High school, he had 60 points. I'm looking at the high school. I'm like, my teammates like, Harold, that guy is an NBA guy because of his name. It's Wayman Tisdale. That's an NBA name.
Yeah.
He turns to me, he said, Harold Pressley. He said,
Yeah.
"Oh no, Harold."
No.
But he had the big afro, but he was a heck of a scorer from the time he was young. From high school, Oklahoma, and then with the Kings and Indiana, of course, is where he was drafted. He just had a big butt that you could not block his shot.
Yeah, I
and
met
he
him
used
when
that
he was,
butt.
like I said, he was a little bigger when I met
Well,
him.
at that time,
Albion Connie was our conditioning coach.
Yeah. But Wayman was calming down, and he really got into music at that time. He was running around with all the gospel singers.
Okay.
Fred Hammonds and Commission, and he had all their music, and they would meet at his house and all that stuff. So he was really winding down. His love was music. Yeah.
So he was one of your favorites that you were part of.
Oh yes, and then Ed Pickney, who I went to college with.
Okay.
And Ed and I talk quite a bit now, but Ed was he was just the most calm person you ever meet. He was what a beautiful spirit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
One
right.
day he called me. He says, "You're the first person that ever told me about this. You got to tell me what you know about."
Yeah,
our
about
Father." I was
God,
like,
yeah.
Whoa, okay. I had a couple of dreams about him. I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But it was so beautiful to hear him say it.
All
And,
right.
yeah. So those are the guys that I play with that I really, really loved. And I play with 39 guys in Sacramento.
Yeah.
They were all beautiful. Guy over in Spain that I play with, Cornelius Thompson, went to UConn.
Okay.
Outstanding player all the way through. Won a couple of championships over there with him.
Okay.
But the guys that I played against, and I was telling the guys earlier, it must have been great to play against all these guys. No, no, they were good.
You were mentioning Dr. J?
Julius Irvin, Dr. J, lived down the street from Villanova. So one day, he comes over and he's like, "I'm going to play with you guys today." And I'm like, "What? What? I'm a freshman." I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "Okay, I have to play against him." And I'm thinking, I can't hurt this guy. He's about to go play.
Yeah.
He's making money. He's a pro. And he's the guy that I watched growing up.
Yeah.
Everything stopped when Dr. J came on, and everybody rushed to the television to watch him play. So I'm like, this is the guy. This is crazy. And so we're playing. We're going up and down. And the end of the week comes. He comes every day. And I believe it was a Thursday. He says to me, he says, "Size 14? Yeah. All right. You going to be here tomorrow?" I said, "Yeah." So the next day comes and he shows up. He's not ready to play. He's in clothes, but he has 2 boxes with him. And he hands them to me and says, "I really appreciate how you played against me. Good luck this year." And it was filled with Converse sneakers, sweatsuits, T-shirts. And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Dr. J just gave me 2 boxes of
very
stuff.
cool.
And you talk about
Yeah.
people, loving people. I was like, that man. Yes, he was a great player, but who he is as a person was just tremendous to me. To do that to a freshman who really needed it, because I was really struggling, but that was really big. So Doc J is one of my favorite. I actually didn't get to play with him in the NBA because he was on his final year and he was just touring. So he was just showing up, collecting all the gifts. So I didn't play against him that year, but I did play against him in college. Other guys that obviously I played against, Michael Jordan, and yes, No, it's not fun to play against Michael Jordan. I remember one week he was averaging over 60 points, and then I had to play against him. Well, I held him to 42 points.
He's proudly saying that.
Can you be proud of 42 points? Well, you compare it to 64 and 66. 42 is not bad. But no, that wasn't fun playing against him. It's fun to have the photos now, but it wasn't fun. But you had so many others. Larry Bird was just tremendous. And
Wow,
man,
Harold. To hear you even mention those names. Is like,
oh my
wow.
God, he was just,
Yeah.
Before we know it, the first quarter, we're down 20. It was like, okay, what are we going to do against Larry Bird now? But I remember once, you're going to love this story, Charles Barkley. I have to start against Charles Barkley. Now, I wasn't even supposed to play. Coach told me, it was Jerry Reynolds. He said, Harold, you're not playing for the rest of the season. We have to try to narrow down who we're going to keep for next year. So somebody has to be the odd man out. You're the guy. Well, Rodney McCray had some issue that he had to go have surgery. Harold, you're starting tonight against Charles Barkley. I just worked out with Derek for 2 hours before the game. I had a great first half. I think I had 16 in the first half and 2 in the second half. But Charles Barkley grabs me and drags me over to Bill Russell. And he says, if you don't get Harold off me, I'll have 50 by halftime. And he was close to 50.
Really?
He was that good. Charles Barkley was that good. And obviously, Clyde Drexler was tremendous. Everybody I had to play against the best person on the opposing team because they consider me the best defensive player. And, great offense beats good defense every time. So it didn't matter who was on the other side. They were all tremendous. Tom Chambers was outstanding. That's probably the guy that I defended the best, along with Orlando Woolridge. I knew how to defend him. And, the guy from Detroit. Rolando Blackman. I could defend him. But there were some guys that just gave me fits. They gave me fits. But it was fun to play in the NBA. Every kid who plays basketball wants to play in the NBA.
So, Harold, here's a question that people are probably going to ask out there. The difference between the players during your time and the players today. Now, I lived as a fan watching people like you play.
As a great soccer player at the time.
I was a pro athlete for a time being. But I believe that I don't want to say that God took the game away from me because I feel I lacked humility. I started lacking humility.
Well, he'll pull you out.
Yeah.
He will pull you out when the time is right.
So for me, they say that the sign of becoming a man of God is taking accountability and seeing what you should have done better and learning from it.
Yes.
I believe that I started, I lost humility, man.
Yeah.
I started just letting my head get big, the fans, the people just loving on me and all that. Awesome. But I needed to keep my feet on the ground, and at one point, I stopped doing that.
He will do that.
Yeah.
He will do that so that you don't get lost.
Yeah.
There's a point where I know this for a fact. When my 4 years was up with the Sacramento Kings, I got a call from the Chicago Bulls, and they said it's between you and 2 other people, and my agent at the time had a deal on the table with Spain, and I told the owner of the Chicago Bulls that you need to make a decision now because I have to take this other job because it's guaranteed. Yeah. He says, no, we're not going to do anything until September. Now it's the end of July. I'm like, but I know that if I went and played in Chicago, that I probably wouldn't be here today. Yeah, so I'm sure that he didn't allow that to happen. But he allowed me to continue playing basketball professionally. It just wasn't going to be where I was at because where I was at was pulling me away from him. And I may not have been able to recover and get back. So.
How hard was it?
And again, I didn't know him at the time.
Yeah.
But he knew.
Well, there you go. How hard was it for you to leave the game behind?
I got injured. So in my head, I still wanted to play. I even flew out of town and worked out with a CBA team for 3 days. And the coach called me in his office. I said, "You don't even have to tell me. I know I can't do it. It hurts." My knee was in such pain. But I was fortunate to leave that and get the call within a couple of days from Rolly Massimino to go coach in college.
Okay.
But leaving the game was tough.
Was hard,
It was tough to get mentally to get out of your head. So I would actually work out. It was a strike year. So the Cleveland Cavaliers could not play in their own gym. They couldn't practice, couldn't do anything in their own gym. So they came over and worked out every morning with us.
All right.
And they needed somebody to be that 10th man. So I would work out with them, and I was like, I can still do this. And by the time we get to the 8th point, I was like, ooh, this is why it's over for me. And slowly but surely, I was able to get out of my head that the game is over for me. I can't play ever again, but I can be around players.
Lastly, some words of wisdom that you can tell our communities, especially during these times. What would you say to them?
Faith. Yes, we walk by faith, and everything happens because of faith. You have to believe. You have to trust. You have to believe. And, you really want to see it. I believe it's Hebrews 12. Everybody should read it. And it talks about how everybody got through everything because they walked by faith. I know you and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and it was about the eggs.
Yeah,
about the
yeah,
eggs.
the eggs are out there right now.
I knew that we had to just stop and pray, and we had to get to that place of you got to believe.
Yeah,
I can believe for you, and I can intercede for you. But when you believe, everything is possible.
Coming together.
Everything is possible for him who believes, but it only happens through faith.
Yes.
Yeah, as long as we have that faith, it all works out. Everything. My model growing up, I put it in my children from a young age. It's going to be okay. Everything always works out. It always works out. I didn't realize that at that time that I was telling them, have faith. It's going to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have faith. Very important. Thank you so much. On behalf of Harold, me, Mario, from Mario's Early Toast, we thank you for taking some time and you listening to this program. One very important point that I want you guys to take out of this, he said it. When times are tough, please don't lose faith, because God has a good plan for you. Believe me, as a parent, I want good things for my kids. I can only imagine what God wants for us here on earth. So faith, keep your faith, please, always. Thank you, Harold, for being here. I know that you're a busy guy, so I appreciate you taking the time.
Me?
Yes.
Not so much.
But everybody out there, thank you so much, and God bless to everybody.